Well, hey everybody, Kevin Crouch here, South Metro Weather, and we're working on watching how things unfold because, as Matt and I were just talking about, we could see things change up a little bit. And I know there's been a lot of questions about that. A lot of questions about, hey, what's going on here? Sorry about that. And, is it going to be the same as what we saw? Is it going to be different? Is something going to make it less bad? I think that's been the most common question is, hey, what's going to make this not be as intense as we think it is, right? Like, I've had people asking me every possible scenario of, hey, what if this, what if this happens? Will that make it, not as intense? Or what about that happens? That kind of thing. Unfortunately, at this moment, I don't really have anything in mind that is going to dampen the storm. Now, here's the thing. If you look, you can see this line is kind of pushing southeasterly here. It's kind of expanding that way. And so that's ahead of schedule. And so, we saw yesterday, we talked about that, how this system was trending earlier. And so as we go forward, if this continues to proceed southeastward and it arrives before the activity to our southwest does, then that would reduce our likelihood of having supercell thunderstorms in our area. That would include, a higher chance of large hail and tornadoes. So with all of that said, let me show you where the National Weather Service has put the tornado watch. It is east of us, east and northeast. So they are favoring really from Kaufman, Canton, Tyler, Longview, Marshall on north and east. So with that said, I think number one, they are looking at the area ahead of this main line here, that's going to continue on to the east. And then going forward from there, this area is going to have more time to heat up later today. To the south, we've had clouds around this morning. Wasn't really that unexpected, but we do also have this activity farther to the southeast. Southwest, excuse me. So with all of that said, it's kind of a race between the two to see if the main complex can make its way southeastward ahead of all of this activity to the southwest. That could help to change our severe weather outlook. We're still warming up. So, I still think that we could, still see some severe weather today. It may not quite be the modality and maybe not the intensity that we thought initially. So, this is kind of a work in progress here, kind of something that we're watching, paying very close attention to try to see what this might end up doing going forward. Now, obviously, as I said, this moving through earlier helps us to go to bed earlier tonight. So there's that, and then it could also cut off our heating, and any of that heating that we cut off today helps to reduce severe weather risk because when you have more heat on the ground, that contributes to the lift, that contributes to the intensifying storms here. So thank you so much, Bruce, for the Venmo donation. They're greatly appreciated. So that's what we're watching right now, and it's kind of a up in the air, type deal. And with this line, the way it's going, obviously, there's some stronger winds north of Dallas that we've been watching. So that area, you see the severe thunderstorm warnings there. For our particular area, I'm not seeing any kind of, rotation in that line as it is right now, but I do think that our higher tornado probability is going to be totally dependent on these storms to our southwest. And so far, they've not done much, but it's still 10 o'clock. Yesterday, when we were looking at this, it was noon and later. So if this line can overtake us over the next couple of hours, then that's going to modify our severe weather threat. But, we just kind of have to watch. It's kind of a wait and see deal, and I know that's everybody's favorite thing, right? But that's where we stand. We also have a flood watch that has been expanded. In our particular area, it includes Ellis and Navarro counties, and so that will largely account for the fact that we're going to have a lot of rain coming through, and the farther east you go, the heavier rain's going to be, as you can kind of see with this line as it stands now. So those are areas that have a better chance of seeing a lot of heavy rain today, and I don't think we see widespread flooding so much as maybe flooding in some flood-prone areas. Obviously, there's Lake Waxahachie, there's Richland Chambers Lake, there's the Trinity River through here. There's various rivers and lakes and streams and things that could contribute to a higher likelihood of flooding in those areas. So that will be something to watch today. But I mean, you can see in this line already, off to our northwest, we're seeing some areas of this starting to pick up steam. And so whether we get severe weather or not at all, I do still expect some severe weather, but that tornado risk, again, is going to be largely dependent on how early this line moves southeastward into our area and whether or not that can cut off the development of those supercell thunderstorms. And Linda, thank you so much for your Venmo donation. Greatly appreciated there. So I will have live coverage. I got the green screen all ready to go here. We will be covering this whole thing live as it continues to move through. And as I mentioned, I mean, you can see the wind shear. So the upper level winds, coming in from the west, from the northwest, and then the lower level winds coming in from the south west. So, I mean, you can see where the wind shear is. And the other thing, too, as this line continues to move southeastward and gets more organized, it will have the possibility of those brief spin-up tornadoes right along the leading edge. So that'll be something else to watch as well. Nothing like that right now. It's still fairly ragged. It's still fairly unorganized. But as it continues to get organized, that could kind of change that calculus as well. Those are not usually your large, long-term tornadoes. Those are your smaller, more brief tornadoes that just kind of pop up on those leading edges. It doesn't mean they can't do damage, but it means that, probably not looking at anything terribly, intense. So that is where things stand. Again, it's kind of a little bit of a wait and see here. But again, the good news is it's ahead of schedule. That should help to limit at least some heating in our area. And then that should also help to get this out of here a little earlier. At least that's the hope, right? So I'll continue to watch this for you. And as far as the timeline, I mean, this is going to continue on through at least, I think, sunset. Last night we were saying, hey, we might be dealing with it as late as midnight. I think it may be closer to 10 p.m. or so, 8 to 10 p.m. before this is moving out. But again, I mean, hey, that's, we'll take that. And so as that continues to move southeast, that will get it in here quicker and get it out of here quicker. Brian Dukey said, what time do we expect this to arrive? I'm doing alerts from a manufacturing plant. It's 10 o'clock now. I'm still looking at around noon for the most part. I think the earliest 11. I mean, we've been talking about how this is ahead of schedule. I think that, we could be getting storms as early as 11. Of course, Brian, that also depends on your location. So I don't know where you're, Brian, I don't know where you're located. And also, if you want to send me an email at kevin@southmetroweather.com, if you work in a manufacturing plant and you're doing the alerts, I'd like to talk to you because I think I might have something in mind that could help with that process. I mean, if you work in manufacturing, you're busy enough, right? So I'd love to talk to you a little bit about maybe how we can help with that process. So if you, if you're maybe interested in talking about that more, and I'd love to learn your process from you too. So that'd be great. But so just to kind of recap here, we're looking at this line coming through. I expect this to be moving in somewhere between 11 and noon. And again, how fast that moves southeastward is really going to determine what we see from the southwest, these particular storms that will want to be supercells, but how quickly can they move in? I mean, this may be the kind of thing where the southern half of our area maybe is favored for a few of those supercell thunderstorms, while the northern half of our area kind of gets caught up in this this complex. So whatever the case is, we are definitely in a situation where we have storms headed our way. There's no question there. The question at this point is what kind of storms will we get? And Dean, yes, you're right. The cell down near Brownwood looks interesting. I think that's still, to be honest with you, I still think. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's still surface based at this point. And the thing is, we have the cap, right? The cap has kept us from blowing up a bunch of storms. Now, we expect the cap to break, but to this point, I think that's still in place. And I think this storm is probably still fighting the cap. So once we get rid of the cap, as we continue warming up, then that's where we're going to see the higher risk, I think, of possibly a few supercell thunderstorms and higher risk of tornadoes and very large hail, that kind of thing. So kind of keep that in mind as well. But overall, I think that we could be looking at, this line coming through kind of. Hang on a second. I'm sorry. I've got a message coming in. Okay. All right. So this line of storms going to continue to move southeast. I'm watching this. This is right here. Let me. Do I have a pen here? Yeah. This right here, moving our way, I think could be what begins really our risk for supercell thunderstorms. But with this line moving in, kind of a race between the two, to be honest with you, to see what we get. Maria, you're asking what's the tornado risk in Waxahachie? Like we've been saying, tornadoes are possible today. I would say it's a low-end risk. I mean, it's been a low-end risk this whole time. So, I know that there's been some different messaging here and there. But it really is kind of a... It's a... I'm looking at that little hook there. It's just a race between the two, because the closer this complex gets, once this overtakes us, that's going to cut off that heating, that daytime heating, and so that's really going to slow down any risk of. Well, it's going to slow down the tornado risk for sure. This is going to have the higher risk here. Yeah, so I'm watching comments that are coming up too. But yeah, this is, and that near Waco as well. So those are moving to the northeast. This is moving to the southeast. And it's just a race against time to see if these supercells can make it in, or they're not supercells right now. I think these are still elevated storms. But if they can make it in, break the cap, or break through the cap, and develop into supercell thunderstorms, then that will heighten our tornado risk. Other than that, this line comes through, that kind of cuts off our tornado chances. Hold on a second. I got a lot of questions coming in, so let me see if I can address these. Renee, looks like yours was answered. Suzanne, you're asking, should I drive from Midlothian to Frisco around noon? Should I postpone? I try not to give any specific travel advice, but I will say, you're probably going to be driving through storms. So depending on your comfort level there, How's the second line of storms looking today? Are we dependent on how the first line progresses to tell? Yeah, Peyton, that's what I was just explaining. That's the progress of this line will largely be what determines how our likelihood of getting those supercell thunderstorms. And Judy, to answer your question, what is a supercell? Basically, a very strong thunderstorm. A supercell is a thunderstorm that rotates. It's caught up in the shear that we were showing you yesterday, and basically it's a rotating thunderstorm with severe attributes. So a supercell, I mean, you're going to have large hail. Tornadoes are possible there, strong damaging winds. So that's your definition of a supercell right there. But yes, Peyton, it does largely look like this line. Let me put this back into motion. It does largely look like this line to the northwest, which is getting progressively more organized. The faster that moves southeast, which maybe I'm crazy, but it almost looks like it's slowing down a little bit. But the faster this moves southeast, that will help to cut off our warming and our inflow for the day, which would kind of limit all of that. Man, guys, I'm sorry, I'm not a travel agent. So, golly, hang on a second. So, traveling to Waxahachie from Monroe, Louisiana on I-20, should we go south towards Houston to avoid the storms? Pam, I mean, that's an option for sure. If you're trying to avoid the storms, that's probably, I would imagine, your best bet. Ashley Cook, do you think there is a break between the two lines? I mean, not really. Between about 11, 12 o'clock and, 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight, I mean, we're going to have storms. I know that I've had a lot of people today asking me for any scenario where we don't get storms. And I'm sorry, but I don't see that happening. Jeremy asking, what is the hail risk as this moves through? I mean, hail is definitely going to be possible. There's a lot of lift today. So hail will definitely be possible. But as I've been saying, if these storms to the southwest, I keep getting these mixed up. As these storms to the southwest that are moving northeast, if they can break through the cap and get that supercellular, that surface-based structure, they're going to have a much higher risk of large hail. Hail is possible in this line, don't get me wrong, but we're probably not looking at the kind of very large hail that we otherwise might see. William, you have family near Tyler. What's your thoughts on them today? I mean, Tyler's pretty far out of my coverage area, but I mean, Tyler's going to be getting this same stuff later, and I'm pretty sure Tyler... Actually, I don't think Tyler's included in the tornado watch, but either way, it's going to be warmer there today. There might be more sunshine there, so severe weather is definitely possible for the Tyler area. Chris, you said, well, I know you don't give travel advice, but I am needing to travel to Midlothian to Forney, and then to Wilmer, and then back to Forney. What would you say? I mean, it's going to be the same answer. It's just there's going to be storms in the area today. I mean, the question really for yourself at this point is, are you comfortable driving through potentially severe weather? I mean, I can answer just about every travel question today and just tell you, if you're going to be in this area, there's going to be severe storms in our area. So if travel is optional for you, I would just weigh the pros and cons. If it's not optional for you, just make sure you stay plugged in, stay weather aware of what's going on so that you stay safe. And Judy, thank you so much for your PayPal donation. Very generous there. Thank you so much. Mary asking, what is the timeline when we expect severe weather in Red Oak? So basically starting between 11 and noon. So pretty close to what we talked about last night. This line is moving more quickly, but I don't think that necessarily moves the timeline up all that much. Caitlin asking about Texarkana. So hold on. Okay, let me go down the list here. We got Texarkana, Rockwall, Waxahachie. So for Texarkana and Rockwall is moving there in the next, hour or so. Texarkana obviously is going to be later tonight, or later this afternoon. So I'd say, closer to, honestly, Texarkana is so far out of my area, I haven't really paid attention to the Texarkana timing. So just going by what I posted this morning, looks like Texarkana has storms more towards the late afternoon hours, but severe weather is possible there too. Drew Vaughn, you said it seems like every tornado happens at night around here. Why is that? So, for the most part, it's because, and I mean, it's daytime today, which is nice, but, well, depending on, I guess, how it impacts you may not be nice. But usually we have storms that blow up in West Texas, and then they take a few hours to get here. So that a lot of times they're blowing up in West Texas in the afternoon, evening hours, and then it's just that travel time. That, they take a while to get here, so that's why a lot of times it's after dark when they move through. Justin Morris, once the line moves through, is our tornado threat over? Yeah, I mean, once this moves through, that takes this whole thing east, and the severe weather threat pretty well wraps up for the day. So that, yeah, once this moves out tonight, we're good. And hang on, let me get that troll out of there. So let's see. More travel questions. Hang on a second. Timing for Whitney. Whitney, again, it's pretty much our whole area is going to be between 11 and noon. I mean, that's going to be pretty standard, I think, across most of our area. You may be on the later side in, Navarro County. But I think for the most part, 11 o'clock to noon is going to be pretty much area-wide here. So for all 4 of our core counties, 11 to noon is going to be when things really start kind of heating up in both ways. Let's see. Traveling through Denton, headed to Oklahoma City, and the rain is coming down heavy and fast. Yeah, Denton's getting hit pretty hard right now. Live in Cup Hill, work in Cup Hill, live in McKinney. So the northern parts of our area, by the time you're driving home, most of this should probably be out of there, I would think, because it's moving through now. So as that continues to move southeastward, I don't think that by 4 or 5 o'clock, there will be a whole lot going on in the northern part of the Metroplex. Robin, sorry, just popping in. You think these storms will last until nighttime? I think it looks like everything could be hanging around until at least 6, 7, 8 o'clock here. So I would say around dinner time. Doesn't look like it's going to be as late as we were initially thinking, because all of this is kind of getting a little bit ahead of schedule, although it looks like it's slowing down. So that may factor into things too. And Robin, you're also asking, do you know if any tornado watches are in effect? Yes, tornado watches in effect for really most of northeastern Texas. And then Tiffany Clark, just so I'm clear, when the storms move through, we are in the clear for severe weather. Yes, that is correct. When this moves through, moves to the southeast, once this storm system clears, we are done for the night. Okay, 1 second here. And Elizabeth asks, is this looking earlier than school dismissal? Unfortunately, I still expect stormy conditions in the area when school is going on. So that's just kind of the unfortunate side of that, right? Holly, you're asking, when will Fort Worth be in the clear of anything severe? Again, probably late afternoon, evening hours. Unless this continues to speed up, in which case, it could be earlier than that. Sorry, I'm trying to catch all these questions, there's a lot of repetitive questions, so I'm trying to see what questions I can answer at once. So Katie Martin, did the timeline of these storms move up? I thought it was 2 waves from around 2 and 4. Not sure where you saw that. It's not all that different from essentially what we said last night was starting at 11 and 12, and then around dinner time, we had that line coming through. The line is definitely far ahead of schedule. So this line is moving through, or at least it's been moving pretty quickly, and looked like, that could be coming in as soon as, noon or so. So everything's kind of moving ahead of schedule, but that doesn't mean too much in terms of whether we're going to get storms or not. So I know that different news channels and different apps and different pages and a lot of these different people have all had different timelines. I can't speak to what somebody else has said. I can only speak to what we've said here. Okay. Yeah, lots of questions trying to figure out the difference between last night and today. So let me try to review that. Last night we talked about 2 rounds. One where we had those supercell thunderstorms coming through during the afternoon hours, and then one where you had that solid line coming in later in the evening. So the difference is that as this continues to move southeastward ahead of schedule, and that's the first detail, is this is here ahead of schedule. Let me get my cursor. There it is. This is here ahead of schedule, right? So as this moves southeastward, we have down to our southwest, we have the storms that would like to be supercells, and I will be watching this storm to our southwest down towards between Comanche and Hamilton there as that continues to move northeast. The thing is, though, as this continues to move southeastward, we are going to see that kind of cut off the opportunity for those supercell thunderstorms to pick up steam. So with that being the case, if this gets here quick enough, we won't have any of those supercell thunderstorms. So the difference from last night to today is we still technically have the opportunity for 2 rounds. It's just they're happening closer together. And one of them could choke off the second. Or the second could speed up and choke off the first. I know that's confusing, but I'm trying to talk relative to last night's information because I know a lot of people are really hung up on that and are stuck trying to figure out what the change is. And that's the change, is that the second round is ahead of schedule and could cut off the first. We still get storms either way. I mean, there's no getting around that. We are going to get storms. We still have a risk of severe weather. But it could, that second round could cut off the first round, which would reduce at least somewhat that tornado risk. Katie Martin... Robin, you're asking a lot of questions, so be patient with me. Let's see. Somebody asking about Louisville. I don't really cover that area, so I couldn't I couldn't tell you. So Robin, you asked, do you have any info on the severe storms are currently up? How severe the storms are up north? Are they wind reports? I honestly, there's been severe thunderstorm warnings up there. I haven't really paid attention to areas north of us. I cover, between Dallas and Waco primarily. Dallas, Fort Worth, and the Waco area. The kind of this more rural area. So I haven't really paid much attention up north. I have seen discussion of, damaging winds up there, but I don't know a whole lot of detail. Aaron, you're asking, am I able to see the rainfall per hour with this current system? I haven't honestly looked at that, but I will tell you there's plenty of heavy rain, and we do have, flood watches that include parts of our area. Somebody asking, is this the worst it will get north of Denton? Yeah, probably. If we look at the map, it's moving kind of out of that area, so I wouldn't expect to see much more for that area today. Somebody on YouTube asking about Paris, Texas. You have some storms headed that way. Again, we don't cover, outside of our area. That's kind of the weird thing about YouTube, is most YouTube creators cover nationwide. They'll answer questions about anywhere. We are kind of a localized brand. And Katie, like we've been saying, you ask is there a lower chance of hail or tornadoes? Like we said, that's conditional on whether we can get some of these stronger storms to the southwest to become surface-based, form supercells ahead of this main line coming through. Let's see. AccuWeather radar shows the one from our northwest weakening. Do I think that's accurate? Aside from your page, what resources do you recommend for an average Joe to try and ingest some info? That's a loaded question. So I mean, yes, the storms to our northwest look like they may be weakening some, but we're still warming up. So I would be cautious to advise of any weakening because as we warm up, I mean, that's going to increase the convection, which is going to increase that lift. And especially, the farther south you go, there's plenty of instability. I think somebody asked earlier what CAPE is. So CAPE is instability. That's how unstable the air is. And that's how fertile the air is for severe weather. So I'm not going to, promise you any weakening here just because it really looks like we are still still under the gun for a lot of, more severe weather as we go through the day. Hold on. Casey, I see you're asking about Gun Barrel City. Just let you know, I do see your comments. I think you're trying to break through the noise there, but I mean, I see it. It's okay. It's the same people. I'm telling you, nobody's going to get past the severe weather today. Everybody's at a risk of severe weather. This line is going to come through. What we're watching is all of this to the southwest. So if we get more storms from the southwest here, we could have some more severe storms with a possibility of larger hail, possibly a tornado or two. And then this line is going to be more of a damaging wind and flooding threat. So really area-wide, that's what we're looking at. Morgan asking, do I think they will extend the tornado watch westward? Probably not. I think they're counting on this line coming in and reducing that tornado watch farther west, or that tornado threat rather. Vicky saying, looks like Alice County is not going to get much rain. Well, I mean, when you look at the map, all of this complex is moving southeast, so I wouldn't quite agree with that assumption. Bonnie saying the sun started to come out a little bit in Ennis. Well, that's not necessarily a good sign. That just means, again, that you're warming the ground, which is going to increase that convection and could lead to more severe storms as we go forward. And I know there's several asking about the Forney area. It's the same thing. You have a risk of severe storms today as all of this activity moves through. I would say for the most part, if you're in Forney, you're probably less likely to get the storms to the southwest, more likely to get this line from the northwest. So that's kind of where things stand right now. Lucy on YouTube, if tornado, will they be short, brief, or long range? Well, that depends. So, if they are on the leading edge of this line, those are generally going to be more brief, short-lived tornadoes. If it's from one of these storms to the southwest, that could be a stronger, longer-term tornado. So it just kind of depends. Let's see. Trying to go back and look at all the questions that are coming in here. Rhonda, you're asking what will Cleburne get? Same as the whole area. Looking at the storms to the southwest and watching this complex to the northwest to see what that does. I don't know if you agree, Matt, but it looks to me like this line to the northwest is slowing down a bit. So again, that may kind of impact things. And I see the info for weather call. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so yeah, what we're seeing is that this line is appearing to slow down. Again, that's going to be part of what might limit our supercell risk, which again, supercells, higher risk of tornadoes, large hail, that kind of thing. I see the links for Weather Call there. So just a reminder, Weather Call is a service that is free. Not free. It's $15 a year. I'm sorry. I've got something else in my head that I was talking to somebody else about earlier. Man, I don't think I've had any coffee today. No wonder I'm so out of it. I skipped that today. It's $15 a year, and which is like a little over $1 a month for this service that you'll get a call from my voice letting you know, hey, there's a tornado warning, there's a severe thunderstorm warning, there's a flash flood emergency, something like that. If it's not something that urgent, you're going to get an email or a text message. Because I know in this day and age, people don't really want to be called if they don't have to be. But it will let you know if there is a warning in your specific location. You're not going to get something saying, hey, there's something in your county. It's going to be your specific location. And if you don't hear anything, you're good to go. They're great if you're working during the day or if it's something going on at night. Overnight, you can leave your ringer on. And if you have Do Not Disturb, when you sign up for Weather Call, you can do a test call and save that phone number to go back through your, to feed through, to basically, go through that barrier and still call you, even though you have your Do Not Disturb set on. Let's see. So, hang on a second. So, a question about Murchison. I mean, it's going to be basically the same thing. Murchison is more likely to be. You're more likely to get probably the storms from the northwest than what we're seeing from the southwest. That's just my guess for that area. Let's see here. Somebody's asking for the Weather Call link. Let me just post that again. Maybe that maybe they missed it. Okay. All right. So there's that, just in case you missed that. And so no severe weather going on right at this moment in our area. I am watching though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this stream. Severe weather coverage will be in front of the green screen. So I'm going to wrap this up and take a few minutes to kind of get prepared for that, because I have a feeling that I may be up here in a few minutes, and we'll probably even cover the line as it comes through. But still watching to the southwest here. Still watching this area to see if any of these storms can become severe and go from there. For the subscription, I know I'm not particularly south of the metro, but north and Saginaw. So Weather Call works nationwide. So it's not, even though it's my brand, it's not limited to this area. So that'll work anywhere. Where on the map is Waxahachie? You got to know your counties, folks. When you're looking at maps like this, and again, I just to let you know, I can't control what towns show up or don't when I zoom in and out, so I can't control that. But Waxahachie is in Ellis County right here, south of Dallas, east of Cleburne. Waxahachie's in Ellis County, so that's where Waxahachie's located. So thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to hop off of this live stream and get ready to cover these storms as they move through. Stay with South Metro Weather. We'll have coverage throughout the day as strong to possibly severe storms roll through our area. And again, get signed up for Weather Call beforehand so that as these storms come in, you're alerted immediately of any warnings issued for your area.